Is liberty dying where you live? Escape to Keene at freekeene.com.
I don't see Cleveland. God, I can't freedom over there. I position contact.
Hey Rich, my jail phone account is all set up if you end up going back there. Phone account is all set up. Just saying the phone account is all set up. You want to call?
All right, please.
Good morning, please have a seat. First matter before the court this morning is State of New Hampshire versus Richard Paul. If I could have counsel and CPO Smith identify themselves for the record.
Your Honor, Keith Clark for the State of New Hampshire.
Matthew Hill is defending, Your Honor.
Thank you. We're scheduled this morning for an arraignment on the probation violation dated June 4th of 2014. Is there a waiver of my reading?
Yes, Your Honor. I reviewed the substance of the violation with Mr. Paul a few minutes ago.
I'll enter a plea of not true.
Thank you.
Is there an issue of bail?
There is.
Your Honor, I would ask that he be detained pending the violation of probation hearing. In the event that he is released, Your Honor, we ask that he provide the court with a consistent address. As I'll mention in my argument for why he should be held, his descriptions to probation where he's living have not been entirely forthcoming. We'd also ask that he be ordered not to travel outside New Hampshire, execute a waiver of extradition, refrain from a firearm, destructive device, deadly weapon, refrain from alcohol or controlled drugs, and to remain on probation, report to them, and follow all their guidelines. Your Honor, the most you've seen the violation of probation report, the most concerning one is Rule 12J. There is actually a video of that in Keene. There is a running disagreement between two groups about...
You mean the violation of Rule 6?
I did mean Rule 6, Your Honor. I'm sorry about that. I did mean Rule 6. That is the more important one. In Keene, there has been a disagreement between two groups about basically chalking on the sidewalk. One group feels that they're chalking to express themselves. Another group is taking it upon themselves to clean that up. On the night of this VOP, there was an altercation at Central Square. Basically, one group was chalking, trying to keep the other group out of that. Mr. Paul is seen on the video that we have arming himself. In fact, you can see him clearly drawing a club out of his clothes, using that weapon to threaten other people involved in the altercation. Mr. Paul is a convicted felon. He's not allowed to have that type of weapon. That was specifically gone over with probation. The fact that he knew there might be an altercation that night, given the running tension between the two groups, chose to arm himself with a deadly weapon as clearly defined by the statute. I believe that makes him a threat. We'd ask that he be held based primarily upon that. However, other terms, Your Honor, you'll see that Mr. Paul has not been of much participation in probation. He has several failed drug tests. He has not paid a dime towards his fines since he's been released. Additionally, when he was first released, he indicated to probation that he was going to be living in Manchester. Probation saw him in Keene practically every day. They finally determined that the fact he was living in Manchester was not true. He then indicated he's living on a residence, but solely on the porch and never inside. He's not been truthful about his residence. Given those concerns, the fact that he chose to arm himself with a deadly weapon while on probation and a convicted felon, leaves as a threat and asks the court hold him pending his violation. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. First of all, Mr. Paul was released in December. He was residing in Manchester, is my understanding. The issue of him returning to Keene didn't happen until during the month of April, as stated in the documentation supporting. Additionally, Your Honor, for a short time, I was living in Manchester working. Mr. Paul was just advising me that there was also a period of time when there was overlap with his residence in Manchester, work here in Keene. I think that the other issue, though, as far as this issue of arming himself with a deadly weapon, Mr. Kluart has described this as some sort of an ongoing war, if it were in the Central Square. It's not my belief that that's anything like what happened, and more importantly, there's nothing to show that that anything Mr. Paul may have had was in fact a weapon. I mean, anything, I suppose, could be a weapon, but certainly there's nothing to suggest that anything can be, in fact, a deadly weapon in the manner that it is used or threatened to be used when the video is at best unclear. And frankly, the more correct evidence is likely to show that this is a camera monopod, it's a piece of camera equipment. I think that the suggestion that there's a risk of serious bodily injury to anyone based on Mr. Paul's conduct is just not supported by any of the history of Mr. Paul. Your Honor, the issue of his residence is another one. Mr. Paul does not have significant means. He has very limited means. The fact that he does not have a regular home that he can call his own is not a sufficient reason to detain him. Mr. Paul should be released and can be released to this court so long as he remains in the Keene area. The supervision of him can continue without a fixed physical address based on his conduct and actually reporting to probation. Your Honor, when setting a bail here, I think that you have to consider his means. We're not talking about the ability of somebody with a significant ongoing regular employment to post bail. We're talking about Mr. Paul, who works primarily for organizations that are the court is familiar with. I mean, he does work that is close to volunteer. It is for that reason that I would ask the court set bail in the amount of $1,000. This is sufficient to ensure that he returns to court to answer the charge and that this can be addressed in turn as the court's calendar allows.
Can I ask a question of defense counsel? How can the court have any level of confidence that Mr. Paul can be supervised when the violations suggest an unwillingness to comply with the basic terms of probation?
Your Honor, I think that the question of supervision is one of, has to be reported. I mean, everything that I've seen from the violation report and from what I know of PPO Smith's history is that if he's not showing up, we hear about it now. Mr. Paul, I think, is still subjecting himself to supervision when he is meeting with probation and parole. The question of following the rules is a different one. That's the substance of the allegations in the violation of probation.
Any further argument from the state?
No, Your Honor. Simply that the video, this is a case where we have video evidence. As indicated, the video will show Mr. Paul drawing something out of his pants. The state would indicate that appears to us from the video to be a billy-type weapon, which is specifically defined in the statute as a deadly weapon per se. In fact, he reaches in and draws that out, and down there during a confrontation means he had to arm himself ahead of time. That is our concern.
PPO Smith, anything you'd like to add?
No.
Okay. On the basis of the conduct that's been alleged and the specific, I'm concerned about somebody, whether it's a club or some piece of camera equipment. The fact that it was the allegation is that it was used in a threatening manner is a serious allegation. That coupled with what appears to me repeated pattern of not following the rules of probation, I'm concerned about whether or not, frankly, any terms will satisfy the court's concerns about the defendant representing a danger to the community given his unwillingness to follow the rules of probation, and we ordered that he be detained pending a violation of probation hearing in this case. Anything further in this matter this morning?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ron.
Love you, Rich.
Hi, man.
We got your back.
If anybody speaks again, they'll be removed from the courtroom.
We'd like to invite you to visit freekeen.com. Freekeen.com features audio, video, and blogs chronicling the transition to a voluntary society. Freekeen.com also has comments and discussion forums so you can be heard. Freekeen.com.
I should be in Keene, New Hampshire with the Free Staters.